Hello everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. So in this video we are going to discuss the entirety of the 2026 A-level biology paper. So I know you all have clicked on this video to see the scheme, so then I will put the scheme anyways in the beginning part of the video. So you can just mark yourself and let me know in the comments how much you have gotten out of 50. So obviously this is not the official scheme given by the government, but rather this is a scheme that I have made using the resource book. So there might be maybe one or even two questions that they might change in the official marking scheme, or the answers might be changed in the official marking scheme. And also you have to know that sometimes the marking scheme varies from Sinhala medium, English medium and Tamil medium. So in the document that you see over here, it is the English medium document which I have just made it into a nice PDF just for the discussion purposes. So enough talk right now. I know you all want to just to see how much I'll get out of 50. Plus I have also given a discussion for each MCQ in this 50 MCQ paper, so that if there is a answer that you think maybe yours is correct and the marking scheme is wrong, you can directly skip to that MCQ and see the reasoning behind each question. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin with the first question. So obviously the first question is one of the easiest questions there is. Which of the following is a communicable disease? So what does it mean by a communicable disease? Something that can spread from one person to another person. Cancers cannot spread from one person to another person. Chronic renal disease is also the same. Diabetes, heart diseases, none of these can spread from one person to another person. So the correct answer would be answer number 4. So for question number 1, it is answer number 4. So now question 2. Which of the following statements regarding the structure of proteins is correct? Linearly arranged unique sequence of 24 amino acids form the primary structure of proteins. So that is incorrect. Now this has to be 20, not 24. Then every amino acid in proteins is composed of hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur and a symmetric carbon atom in the center. So then this statement is actually wrong in 2 locations. One thing is, it is not a symmetric carbon, it has to be an asymmetric carbon. And for example, if you take in glycine, you don't have an asymmetric carbon, but other than that all the amino acids have an asymmetric carbon. Plus you can also take a look at sulfur. Sulfur is not something that is found in every amino acid, only some amino acids have sulfur. Then keratin is a beta pleated sheet formed as a result of intramolecular hydrogen bonds. So keratin is a secondary structure, but it is not formed from beta pleated sheet, but rather alpha helix. Formed as a result of intramolecular hydrogen bonds. Yes, that is correct. However, so since this is wrong, this is also wrong. Albumin has a compact and unique secondary structure due to folding of the primary structure. Albumin does not have a secondary structure. Albumin has tertiary structure. So then this is also wrong. Then hemoglobin has a quaternary structure formed by aggregation of more than one polypeptide chain. So that is true. Hemoglobin is having 4 subunits and 4 subunits come together. So then this is correct. So for question number 2, answer is answer number 5. So far both the questions have been pretty easy and straightforward. So let's see whether this paper is actually difficult or is it actually easy. Now we are moving on to question number 3. Select the following. Which of the following subcellular component function combinations are correct? So lysosome. So lysosome can digest worn out organelles. That is true. So anything else that belongs to lysosomes? No. Then peroxisomes. What does peroxisome do? Out of these 4, peroxisomes does not have a function actually. So we'll move on to smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum, yes, it can store calcium ions and it also can produce transport vesicles. So smooth endoplasmic reticulum has 2 functions here. Then rough endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum also can produce transport vesicles. Okay, anything else that comes to rough endoplasmic reticulum? No. So then let's take a look at which is the correct function combination. So lysosome digesting worn out organelles is true. Peroxisome production of transport vesicles is false. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum storage of calcium ions is true. Rough endoplasmic reticulum synthesis of steroids is false. This is not a matching question, no? This is just the correct, select the correct combination. Then you didn't have to do any of this. This was important. Just check whether A and the function is correct. So lysosome digestion, that's correct. Likewise, so the correct answer would be A and C. So A and C is answer number 2. Okay. So now we are in question number 4. Stages of meiosis during which the chromosome decondensation occurs. So that is chromosomes unwinding. So then we all know chromosomes condense in prophase, so then it has to unwind in telophase. So then the answers which have telophase would be the correct answer. we can take a look, and that would be answer number 3. Answer number 3. So this is telophase 1 and telophase 2. On the other hand, if you take the other options, they have telophase and another phase. So correct answer would be answer number 3 for question number 4. Then let's go to question number 5. Which of the following statements regarding inhibition of enzyme activity is correct? Comparative inhibitors resemble the shape of the active site of the enzyme. That is false, because they don't resemble the shape of the active site, but rather they resemble the shape of the substrate. Non-competitive inhibitors reduce the number of active sites available in the enzyme molecule. They don't reduce the number of active sites available, no, they go and bind to some location else and make the active site inactive. So second one is also wrong. Third one, feedback inhibition prevents the wastage of chemical resources by binding of the end product to the substrate. That is incorrect, because the end product doesn't bind to the substrate. End product goes and binds back into the enzyme to inhibit it. An allosteric inhibitor binds to the regulatory site of the enzyme and affects the active site of all of its subunit. Yes, that is true. Allosteric inhibitor binds to the regulatory site, that is correct, of the enzyme and affects the active sites of all of its subunits. So that's why it's called an allosteric regulation, because it affects all the active sites. ADP acts as an allosteric inhibitor to slow down the rate of production of ATP. ADP acts as an allosteric inhibitor to slow down the rate of production of ATP. That is false. What acts as an allosteric inhibitor actually is ATP. ATP is the one that acts as an allosteric inhibitor to slow down catabolism. So correct answer here would be answer number 4. Okay. Okay, then we will have to move on to question number 6. During the C4 pathway of photosynthesis, light reaction is carried out in chloroplasts of both mesophyll and bundle sheath cells that contain PS1 and PS2. So if you remember the C4 pathway, here you have one cell, then you have another cell here, and then you have the vascular tissue. So then this was mesophyll cell, and this was the bundle sheath cell, and then here you have the vascular tissue. So light reaction is carried out in chloroplasts of both mesophyll and bundle sheath cells that contain PS1 and PS2. That is incorrect. Why? Because in bundle sheath cells you only have PS1. You don't have PS2. While in mesophyll cells, yes, you have both PS1 and PS2. So in mesophyll cells you have the light dependent reaction taking place. While in bundle sheath cells, to generate additional ATP, cyclic electron flow, which also is based on light, that also takes place in the bundle sheath cells. So then question number 2. So then this is incorrect. No? Right. Question number 2. Oxaloacetate, which is the first product of carbon dioxide fixation, is diffused to bundle sheath cells and converted to malate. No. Within the mesophyll cells itself, oxaloacetate will become malate, and then malate will diffuse into the bundle sheath cells. So then here they say oxaloacetate is diffused to bundle sheath cells and converted to malate. That is why this is wrong. Then third one, malate diffuses to mesophyll cells and becomes pyruvate after releasing carbon dioxide. So again we saw malate diffuses into the bundle sheath cells where they release carbon dioxide and they become pyruvate. Then fourth one, carbon dioxide released by malate is refixed by Rubisco in the bundle sheath cells. Yes, that is true. Whatever the carbon dioxide that was released by malate, the carbon dioxide goes through the Calvin cycle in the bundle sheath cells. So then this is the correct answer number 4. Fifth one, ATP is generated through cyclic and linear electron flow in the bundle sheath cells. So like I just mentioned, linear electron flow does not take place, but cyclic electron flow takes place. That is why you only have PS1. So that is question number 6. Then question number 7. Which of the following statements regarding the link reaction of cellular respiration are correct? 2 pyruvate molecules enter the mitochondrion passively through its membrane. That is false. It takes place through active transport, not passively, actively. Then pyruvate is converted to acetyl group and 2 carbon dioxide molecules are released. This is true. Pyruvate is converted to acetyl group and 2 carbon dioxide molecules are released. So you have pyruvate. This pyruvate becomes what? This pyruvate becomes acetyl CoA, which is a 2 carbon compound, and this is a 3 carbon compound. So as a result, a carbon dioxide molecule is released. However, you can argue saying that here they just mentioned 1 pyruvate. Per pyruvate you can only have 1 carbon dioxide molecule released, not 2 carbon dioxide molecules released. So then to make this statement correct, shouldn't you mention 2 pyruvates are converted to 2 acetyl groups and 2 carbon dioxide molecules are released? Only then this statement is like correct, no? Because a pyruvate doesn't give 2 carbon dioxide, no? However, this exact sentence, pyruvate is converted to acetyl group and 2 carbon dioxide molecules are released, this exact sentence is there in the resource book. So therefore B is the correct answer. So even in the exam, if you are confused about that, try to get the answer by elimination. So here we know for a fact it is not passively, it is actively. So then this is surely wrong. Then what about C? 2.5 ATP molecules are produced by oxidative phosphorylation. So oxidative phosphorylation doesn't take place in the link reaction, no. Oxidative phosphorylation takes place in the oxidative phosphorylation or the electron transport chain. So surely C is wrong. So assuming that, you can only have what? Second answer, B only. So that concludes all the Unit 2 questions. Now I think we are moving on with Unit 3. Which of the following was used by Lamarck to explain his hypothesis on evolution? So what was Lamarck's theory? It was use and disuse and inheritance of their acquired characteristics. So we'll take a look. Inherited traits of organisms in a population vary. This is not Lamarck's theory. This is Darwin. So Darwin is the one that mentioned that different types of organisms in a population, they will produce children who have different varieties. One will be tall, one will be short, one will be strong, one will be weak, one will be thin, one will be fat. So different variation among the organisms is something that comes in Darwin's theory of evolution, not in Lamarck's. So every species produce more offspring than the number that the environment can accommodate to induce competition. So that is again Darwin-Wallace's theory of natural selection. Third one, body parts of organisms that are not used deteriorate. So then that is use and disuse, no? If you use something, it will become stronger is what Lamarck told, and if you don't use something, it will become weaker. So theory of use and disuse. Organisms compete with each other for survival. That is again Darwin's theory of natural selection. Some organisms of a population produce lesser number of offsprings than others. That is again favorable traits of Darwin theory of evolution. So the correct answer here would be answer number 3. So directly from the textbook, body parts of organisms that are not used will deteriorate. Next question, select the artificial group from the following: Protista, viruses and bacteria. So what is an artificial group? If it has multiple origins of evolutionary lineage, so polyphyletic groups. Polyphyletic groups are considered to be artificial groups. So example would be Protista and viruses. Both of them are artificial groups. So bacteria is a natural group. Bacteria has a clear domain bacteria. It has peptidoglycan in the cell wall. All those common characteristics are present. So bacteria is a natural group. So then the answer would be A and B. Okay. Answer number 3. Then question number 10. Which of the following can be used to distinguish alva, gelidium and sargassum from each other? So let's take a look at the first option. Presence of cellulose in the cell wall. So that cannot be used to distinguish because all three have cellulose in their cell wall. So then this would be incorrect. Second one, type of stored food. So what are the food or the chemical that they use to store this food? If you take alva, it has starch, gelidium has Floridian starch, and sargassum has laminarin. So as you can see, the type of stored food is unique to these three. The type of stored food would be the correct answer here. However, let's take a look at the other ones also. Multicellular thallus. Multicellular thallus is present in all three, alva, gelidium and sargassum. All three are multicellular organisms. So then this is wrong. Nature of the holdfast. Again, alva, gelidium and sargassum. All three have holdfast. So then this is also incorrect. Habitat. Again, all three are present in marine environments. So habitat cannot be used to distinguish them. So the correct answer here would be answer number 2. Okay, question number 11. Ectothermic animals with a bony skeleton can be found in which of the following classes of phylum Chordata? So ectothermic means what? Cold-blooded. Bony skeleton is bony skeleton. So ostic thighs. So you can see in the word itself, osti. Osti means it has a bony skeleton. So bony skeleton is okay. What about, is it an ectothermic or cold-blooded organism? Yes. Ostic thighs and chondric thighs both are ectothermic. So then this has 2 ticks. What about amphibia? Amphibians are ectothermic. Yes, they are cold-blooded animals. And do they have a bony skeleton? Yes, they indeed have a bony skeleton. Reptilia, also the same. They are ectothermic animals with a bony skeleton. However, when you take AVs means birds, they have a bony skeleton, yes, but they are not ectothermic. They are warm-blooded animals or endothermic. So the correct answer here would be A, B and C, which is answer number 4. Okay, so question number 12. Some structures can be found in the vascular tissues of plants and their features are given below. So, basal element, let's check the correct function. So, let's select the correct feature. Basal element has perforation plates, that is true. So, A, S is okay. Anything else? Yes, basal elements, their cell walls are interrupted by pits also. So, it could be AS or AR. Then, B, tracheate. Tracheate, it can only come as R. The cell walls are interrupted by pits. So, B, R. Then what about C? Sieve tube elements. For sieve tube elements, cytoplasm present as a thin peripheral layer so that the phloem sap can travel freely. That is the correct answer. So, C would be P. Then companion cell. Companion cells, they help in phloem loading, and in other organs they help in unloading. So D, Q. So let's see which one is correct. AS, AS, AR, AS, AS. Okay. First combination is correct in everything. BR, BP, wrong. BR, okay. BS, wrong. BQ, wrong. BR, okay. Then CP, CP, CQ, right. CPDQ. So correct answer is answer number 4 for question number 12. Right. Which of the following statements regarding the closing of stomata are correct? Guard cells expand. So guard cells expanding causes the opening of stomata due to the arrangement or the thickness of the walls. When guard cells expand, the stomata is open. So then this is wrong, no? It has to close. For it to close, what happens? Then next one. Guard cells lose water. So how does guard cells even open in the first place? Guard cells from the neighboring epidermal cells, the water has to come into the guard cells, then the guard cells will expand. And expansion of the guard cells will cause it to open. So if you want it to close, instead of water coming from the epidermal cells into the guard cells, water from the guard cells should go out. So guard cells lose water for the closing of stomata is correct. Third one. Turgor pressure inside guard cells increase. So we just established the fact that from the guard cells water should go out for the guard cells to close or the stomata to close. So water going out would cause a reduction in turgor pressure of the guard cells, not an increase in the turgor pressure. So this is also wrong. Correct answer would be answer number B only. 2. Okay, question number 14. Dioecious gametophyte and dioecious sporophyte can be seen respectively in Pogonatum and Nephrolepis, Pogonatum and Cycas and so on. So dioecious gametophyte is seen in Pogonatum. Okay, in Pogonatum only you will find dioecious gametophyte. In Nephrolepis you have monoecious gametophyte. So then you will mark them wrong. Okay, then dioecious sporophyte can be seen in what? Dioecious sporophyte you can see it in Cycas. So then Pogonatum and Cycas would be the correct answer. So what does it mean by dioecious? Dioecious means you have separate male and female plants. Okay, separate male and female plants. So the one that actually suits these conditions, having dioecious gametophyte and dioecious sporophyte, would be seen in the third question, third answer, Pogonatum and Cycas. Question number 15. Which of the plants are capable of producing seedless fruits? You have banana, grapes and oranges. Banana, grapes and oranges, all three are capable of producing seedless fruits. However, there is one small issue. Banana is natural, grapes induced, oranges induced. So then you can argue, okay, which of the following plants are capable of producing seedless fruits? So the way they have phrased this question, you might assume they're only asking about the one that happens naturally. But if they wanted you to distinguish the fact between banana is natural, grapes and oranges are induced, then in the question itself they would have mentioned which of the following plants are capable of producing seedless fruits naturally or artificially. So here they have just mentioned capable of producing seedless fruits. They are expecting you to answer for both naturally and induced. So then the correct answer would be all three, A, B, C. So the only answer that has that would be answer number 5. Okay, question number 16. A plant hormone involved in lateral expansion of seedlings is. So the correct answer here would be ethylene. So it is part of the triple response of seedlings. Lateral expansion is, instead of having linear growth, it has a circumference growth, a growth in the circumference. So lateral expansion of seedlings is by ethylene. So directly from the textbook. Okay, question number 17. Organisms that are involved in the ecological relationships of parasitism, commensalism and mutualism are respectively. So here you can see Loranthus. Loranthus, is it a parasitic plant? No, Loranthus is what? Loranthus is a, yes, it is a parasitic plant, by the way. I forgot that. It's a semi-parasitic plant. Loranthus is a semi-parasitic plant. Correct. Loranthus is a semi-parasitic plant. Second one, Plasmodium. Plasmodium is a parasite which infects the red blood cells. So Plasmodium is correct. Cuscuta. Yes, Cuscuta is also a parasitic plant. If Loranthus is semi-parasitic, Cuscuta is fully parasitic. Then Utricularia. Utricularia is false because Utricularia is a carnivorous plant, not a parasitic plant. Then fifth one, Nepenthes. Again, Nepenthes is a carnivorous plant, not a parasitic plant. So then this one is completely out of the running. Fourth and fifth cannot be the answer. Then let's take a look at commensalism. So what is parasitism? One fellow benefits, other fellow disadvantage. Commensalism, one fellow benefits, other fellow no difference. Mutualism, both are benefiting. So then commensalism, epiphytic orchids. Yes, epiphytic orchids is a correct example. Orchids that are growing on other trees, so it doesn't absorb a nutrient, it's nothing. Then termite. Termite and the cellulose digesting microorganisms present in the termite, they have a mutualistic relationship, not a commensalistic relationship. So this is false. So if this is false, this entire thing would be false. Then what's left? Drosera. Drosera is a carnivorous plant. So not a commensalism, it is carnivorous. So then this will also go wrong. That one is gone. Then fourth one, barnacle. Fourth one we anyways eradicated, so no use talking about that. Fifth one is also gone. So with that itself we can tell the answer. Answer number 1 is the correct answer. Cycas is mutualism. Yes. Why? Cycas has corallite roots and that's where the nitrogen fixing organisms are present. So then the first one is the answer here. So question number 18. Which of the following tissue location function combinations is correct? Then let's go through these options individually. ARX, stratified. R, blood capillaries. That is false, no? Blood capillaries, you don't have stratified squamous epithelium. Stratified squamous epithelium is found in the skin. Okay, so then that is incorrect. ARX is wrong. Then 2, APY, stratified intestine. That is wrong. Again, we just established stratified squamous is found in the skin. Intestine, you will have simple columnar epithelium. Third one, BPZ, simple columnar, intestine, okay. Material exchange. No. Material exchange takes place where? In the blood capillaries you will have material exchange. Then in the alveoli you have material exchange. You don't have material exchange in the intestine. In the intestine you have either secretion or absorption. So then this one would be wrong. Then fourth one, CQX, simple cuboidal epithelium, salivary gland, secretion. That is the correct answer. So simple cuboidal epithelium is important for secretion and that is why they are found in glands like salivary glands or thyroid glands. So correct answer here would be answer number 4. Then fifth one, CRX. So we anyway found the fourth one is the correct answer, but we'll see. Fifth one, CRX, simple cuboidal epithelium, blood capillaries, secretion. So that's false because like we mentioned, blood capillaries have simple squamous, or endothelium has very simple epithelium that is perfect for exchange of material. Right. So then this is also wrong. So correct answer for answer number 18 would be answer number 4. Okay, question number 19. Which of the following statements regarding the human digestive system is correct? Vitamins synthesized in the colon help in prevent bone softening. For bone softening, you need the deficiency of vitamin D. Colon produces, or the microorganisms present in the colon produces vitamin K and some vitamin B complexes. So then this is wrong. Absorption of water takes place in the stomach, small intestine and large intestine. This is true. Some water is absorbed in the stomach, majority of water is reabsorbed in the small intestine, and absorption of water is completed in the large intestine. So second one is the correct answer here. Then third one, multinucleated muscle cells are absent in the digestive tract. So what is a multinucleated muscle cell? A skeletal muscle cell. So they are asking whether skeletal muscles are absent in the digestive tract. So that is wrong, no? The upper part of esophagus, they contain the skeletal muscles, and the external anal sphincter, right, that also contains skeletal muscles. So that's why you can voluntarily swallow and you can control the urge to go to the toilet. So that is because they have skeletal muscles. So your digestive tract has skeletal muscles. Okay. So saying that they are absent is incorrect. Small intestine secrete secretine which regulates digestion in stomach. That is wrong. Secretine is important for what? Secretine is important for the stimulation of the pancreas. Regulation of the digestion in the stomach is done by gastric. So then this is incorrect. Fifth one, digestion of fats start in the stomach. No, digestion of fats start in the intestine. Before the intestinal enzymes or the pancreatic enzymes start breaking down the fat, they need to be emulsified with bile. So digestion of fat cannot start in the stomach because in the stomach you don't have biliary. So then this is also wrong. So correct answer here would be answer number 2. Okay, question number 20. Types of circulatory systems and examples for animals having those are given below. Which of these circulatory system example combinations are correct? So let's take a look at open circulatory system. Open circulatory system, an example has been given as mollusk. So is this correct? Yes. Because open circulatory system you have what? Arthropods plus some mollusks. So open circulatory system, mollusk is a correct example. Then closed single circulatory system, amphibians. That is incorrect. Why? Closed single circulatory system is found in fishes. Fish. While amphibians have a double circulatory system with 3-chambered hearts. Then let's take a look at C. Closed double circulatory system found in mammals. So mammals is what? You and I. We have double circulatory system with what? Pulmonary circuit and systemic circuit. So mammals are correct. So then the correct answer here would be A and C, which is answer number 4. Okay, question number 21. Which of the following statements regarding the human blood circulatory system is correct? Right atrioventricular valves consist of 2 flaps. Right atrioventricular valve is known as the tricuspid valve. Tri means 3. So then this is wrong. First arteries that arise from the aorta supply blood to the brain. No, the first arteries that arise from the aorta are the coronary arteries. Coronary arteries supply blood to the heart. So then this is false. Oh. I recently did a true-false exam. So we just mark it as T or F in the paper. Anyways, oxygen poor blood from forelimbs reach heart via inferior vena cava. So that is false, no? Forelimbs means this, the upper part. So the oxygen poor blood from these upper parts go through the superior vena cava. While the lower parts of the body, where the hind limbs and the lower trunk, that goes into the inferior vena cava. So then this is wrong. Mitral valve is devoid of tissues other than the myocardium. That is wrong. Why? It is devoid of tissues other than the endocardium. The mitral valve is made up of the endocardium, not the myocardium. Myocardium is the muscular part. The mitral valve is the inner part of the heart, which is made up of endocardium. Wrong. Fifth one, blood entering pulmonary artery has a lower pressure than that of blood entering aorta. So then, where does the blood come from before it goes into the pulmonary artery? The right ventricle pumps it into the pulmonary artery, while the left ventricle pumps it into the aorta. The right ventricle has to pump it just to the lungs, which are present close by. So the right ventricle is thinner than the left ventricle. Left ventricle has to pump blood into the aorta, which takes it all over the body. So the left ventricle has to be thicker. So the stronger muscle is the left ventricle than the right ventricle. Therefore, the pressure of the blood in the aorta is higher than the pressure of the blood in the pulmonary artery. So entering the pulmonary artery has a lower pressure, so then this would be the correct one. Answer number 5. Which of the following statements regarding respiration of humans is correct? Partial pressure of oxygen in exhaled air is higher than that of carbon dioxide. So this is a part where you might have gotten confused. Why? We always say that we inhale oxygen and put out carbon dioxide, no? So we will assume that the air that we actually put out has a lot of carbon dioxide. But one thing that you should understand is when you take the atmosphere, how much of that atmosphere is oxygen, how much of that atmosphere is carbon dioxide. So oxygen amounts to around 20%, while carbon dioxide is less than or around 0.1%. So anyway in the atmosphere you have very less amounts of carbon dioxide. So what happens is when you inhale around 160 kilopascals of oxygen, the partial pressure. Carbon dioxide you get only around 0.1 if I am not mistaken. Is it 0.1? It is 0.2, sorry. It is 0.2. Then when you breathe it out, this will not switch. Like partial pressure of carbon dioxide will now not become 160. It will increase, but it is still lesser than oxygen. Why? Because in the atmosphere anyway you have a lot of oxygen than carbon dioxide. So when you are breathing out, the partial pressure values are, partial pressure of oxygen is around 128, while partial pressure of carbon dioxide is around 27. Right, 27. So as you can see, clearly when you exhale, more carbon dioxide is going out, yes, but you can clearly see that the partial pressure of oxygen is still much higher. Why? Because you have that much more oxygen than carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So now just think of it. Now when you're inhaling a lot of oxygen, not all of that oxygen is actually used up. So you see 160 to 128. Not all of the oxygen is used up. Alright, so the first one is what you thought would have been correct, but it is actually wrong. Then, first one which you thought would have been incorrect is actually correct. So first one is the correct one. Partial pressure of oxygen in exhaled air is higher than that of carbon dioxide. True. Then, contraction of smooth muscles in the diaphragm results in inhalation. That is false because the diaphragm is a sheet of skeletal muscle, not smooth muscle. Then this is wrong. Third one, exhalation occurs due to reducing of the thoracic cavity volume. Okay, that is true. As a result of contracting intercostal muscles. That is incorrect. Exhalation is a passive process. There is no contraction of muscles in the normal passive exhalation. So this is incorrect. In addition to medulla oblongata, thalamus also regulates breathing. That is wrong. It's not the thalamus, it is the pons varoli that has an additional supportive role for the regulation of breathing. Fifth one, vital capacity is a total of tidal volume and inspiratory reserve volume. Vital capacity is the maximum amount of air that you can inhale and exhale. So it would be tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume. So that is why this is incorrect. So correct answer for question number 22 will be answer number 1. Okay, select the correct statement regarding immunity of man. So now we are in question number 23. Immunoglobulins are injected to get lifelong immunity. So that is wrong. No, immunoglobulins come under artificially acquired passive immunity. Okay, so passive immunity doesn't give you lifelong immunity. No, so your body has to respond to something for you to get lifelong immunity. So this is incorrect. B lymphocytes are activated by helper T cells to produce antibodies. That's a nice statement. Why? Because if you have used the word helper T cells, you would assume that B lymphocytes have no relationship with helper T cells. But actually, helper T cells can help activate both the T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. So this is the correct answer actually. Okay. Third one. Antibodies are secreted by plasma cells, yes, which are produced by T lymphocytes. No. Plasma cells are B lymphocytes, no, activated B lymphocytes. So then this is wrong. Epitopes of T and B lymphocyte can bind with antigens. No. Epitopes are the accessible portion of the antigen. So if you have an antigen which is very large, let's say this is an antigen, this entire thing is an antigen, the epitope would be the part which is actually accessible. So In T and B lymphocytes, you will have antigen receptors, not epitopes. So then this is wrong. Antibodies bind to pathogens and kill them. That is false. No, antibodies do not directly kill the pathogen, but they interfere with the pathogen activity or mark them for destruction. So then this is also incorrect. So correct answer for question number 23 would be answer number 2. Okay, question number 24. In which of the following pairs does an increase in 1 cause an increase in 2? Aldosterone level in blood, potassium concentration in urine. That is true. Why? Aldosterone level, what does aldosterone do? Aldosterone causes sodium reabsorption. So due to sodium reabsorption, you will have passive reabsorption of water and you have the active secretion of potassium. So higher the aldosterone, higher the secretion of potassium in the kidneys. So if more potassium is secreted by the kidneys, more of this potassium will get lost in the urine. So carbon dioxide concentration in urine also will increase. So first one is correct. A is a correct pairing. B, angiotensin level in blood and blood pressure. That is also true. Increase in angiotensin can act as a vasoconstrictor. It can constrict blood vessels. It can also stimulate the release of aldosterone. So it can increase the blood pressure. So this is also correct. Angiotensin can act by directly constricting blood vessels, or it can increase the release of aldosterone, which reabsorbs sodium and water, increase the blood volume and increase the blood pressure. So B is also correct. C, ADH level in blood and the blood volume. Higher the ADH, what does ADH do? ADH reabsorbs water, only water. So reabsorption of water into what? The blood. From the water that is going to go in the urine, it is reabsorbed back into the blood. So higher the ADH, higher the blood volume. So then C is also a correct comparison. So 24 answer A, B, C. Answer number 5. Okay, question number 25. Which of the following neurotransmitters is associated with schizophrenia? So there is not much explanation in the resource book and they don't expect you to know the pathophysiology behind schizophrenia also. So just knowing that dopamine is the one that is involved in schizophrenia, that is something you just have to memorize. So direct answer is answer number 4. Question number 26. Eustachian tube of humans is located between. It is located between the middle ear and the pharynx. Yeah, answer number 3. So what is the function of this Eustachian tube? So it makes sure that the pressure on the outside part of the tympanic membrane or the eardrum and the inside part of the eardrum are the same. So that is why once you go, high altitudes and stuff, you feel something like your eardrums are going to pop. That is because as you go up into high altitude, the pressure difference is not equalized properly. But if you start chewing gum or if yawn, make your mouth move like that, you can equalize the pressure by opening up the Eustachian tube that is found in your pharynx. Okay, so if I have to draw the ear, okay, so this is the ear. So this is the outer ear, middle ear and the inner ear. So from the middle ear only you will have the Eustachian tube like this, which connects to the pharynx, not the larynx, the pharynx. So correct answer here is answer number 3. Right, question number 27. A person complains of weight gain, lethargy, cold skin and constipation. Which of the following can be the most likely reasons for these conditions? So obviously when you look at this, the thing that should go through your mind is something related to the thyroid. So what is the function of thyroid hormone? It increases the basal metabolic rate. So if you have weight gain, means it needs to have less thyroid hormone, because the lesser basal metabolic rate, the less energy that you use. So if you use less energy, more energy will be stored. So then this has to be hypothyroid, okay, a condition where there is reduced thyroid secretion. So first one, high production of triiodothyronine. So that is false. No, this is hyperthyroid. And autoimmune disease attacking the parathyroid glands. So this is also incorrect because parathyroid gland doesn't have a role in this weight gain, lethargy, cold skin. Parathyroid glands are involved in the calcium, involved in regulating the calcium. Tumor in cerebrum. Tumor in cerebrum. Cerebrum is important for higher functioning thinking like complex reasoning, judgment, memory. So then this is incorrect. Lack of TSH production. So what is the function of TSH? TSH will act on the thyroid gland to increase the release of T3 and T4. So if you have reduced TSH, you will have reduced T3 and reduced T4. So reduced T3 and reduced T4 only we call as hypothyroidism. So over here the issue is hypothyroidism. So then this has to be the correct answer. Malfunctioning of the liver. So malfunctioning of the liver doesn't have a role with the thyroid hormone. So then this is also incorrect. So the correct answer here would be answer number 4. Then question number 28. Which of the following is a correct sequence of intracytoplasmic sperm injection method? So this is different from IVF. In IVF there is natural penetration, or we would take it as fertilization, natural fertilization. So you take an egg and you let 100,000 or 50,000 sperms and you hope for natural fertilization. But in the case of intracytoplasmic sperm injection method, this happens when the male fertility is very low, where the sperm is not of high quality or the number of sperms that are produced are much less. So what do? They take the sperm, they take a needle and they inject the oocyte or the egg and they directly transfer the sperm onto the egg. So then let's take a look at what is the correct answer here. Removing an oocyte from the ovary, fertilization by immersing in semen. That is false, no? Because we are not letting that happen naturally. We are taking the sperm and we are artificially putting it inside the egg or the oocyte. So this is wrong. Stimulation of ovary. So this is also false. We are taking the oocyte outside. Okay, here they say injecting sperm into uterus. No, we take the oocyte outside. Once it is outside only, we put the sperm inside the oocyte. The third one, removing an oocyte from the ovary of a woman and inserting it into the uterus of another woman, injecting sperm into uterus, fertilization, implantation. So this is incorrect. Here we are talking about surrogate. Okay, where another woman is carrying another woman's child. Fourth one, injecting sperm into uterus, fertilization, removing fertilized egg. That is false. So like I mentioned, fifth one has to be the answer. So let's take a look. Removing of an oocyte from the ovary, yes. Injecting a sperm into the oocyte. So you take one sperm and you inject it. Fertilization. So now the sperm comes in contact with the oocyte, there is fertilization. Then you transfer the fertilized egg into the uterus and let the implantation happen naturally. So this is intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Okay, so fifth one is the correct answer here. Then, question number 29. If the blood testosterone level of a man increases suddenly, which of the following responses are most likely to occur? So here they are mostly talking about the hormonal regulation of the male reproductive system. So what is the role that testosterone has? Testosterone can negatively inhibit 3 hormones. One is FSH, the other one is LH, and the other one is GnRH. So FSH and LH are part of the anterior pituitary, GnRH is part of the hypothalamus. Okay, so we'll see the correct answer. Increase in FSH secretion from anterior pituitary. So this is false, because increase in testosterone will negatively inhibit these 3 hormones. Stimulation of Sertoli cells to secrete inhibin. That is also incorrect. Inhibition of GnRH release from hypothalamus. That is correct. Stimulation of anterior pituitary to secrete LH. That is false, because it inhibits the release of LH. So correct answer here would be C only. Answer number 3. Then let's move on to question number 30. Which of the following statements regarding human vertebra is correct, or vertebrae is correct? Axis vertebrae contributes to turning the head from side to side. So what is the first cervical vertebrae? Atlas. Second is axis. Nodding the head, that is moving the head from up down. That bones that are involved in that movement is the atlas and the skull. The first cervical vertebrae and the skull. On the other hand, turning the head from side to side, you have a special part of the axis vertebra where you have like a pointy part that comes up. Okay, so this forms a joint with the vertebra that is above. So when this second vertebra and the first vertebra move against each other in this direction, that is how that side to side movement is formed. Okay, so axis vertebra contributes to turn the head from side to side. That is correct. So that's the correct answer here. Anyways, let's take a look. Atlas vertebra is ring shaped and does not have transverse processes. That is false. It is ring shaped, yes, but it has 2 short transverse processes. Some thoracic vertebra possess transverse foramina. That is false. Transverse foramina are found in the cervical vertebrae for the passage of the vertebral artery. Some lumbar vertebra have bifid spinous process. That is false. Bifid's finest process is found in the cervical vertebra C2 to C6. Sacrum is formed by fusion of the 4 terminal vertebra. That is false. It is the coccyx that is formed by fusion of the 4 terminal, not 4 terminal. Yeah, 4 terminal vertebra. Sacrum is formed by the fusion of the 5 vertebra. So the terminal part means at the end. So at the end what you find is the coccyx. So fifth one is also incorrect. So correct answer here would be answer number 1. 31. Let me erase this. Right. Which of the following movements is generally shown by most hinge joints? Adduction, abduction, rotation, circumduction and flexion. So what is a hinge joint? Hinge joint is hinge is something that you will find at the doors, at the edge of the doors, where you can only move it this way or you can move it this way. So you can't rotate the door. So that is known as flexion and extension. For example, if you take your elbow joint, it's a hinge joint. So you can do this and you can do that. You can do this, you can do that. So that is flexion and extension. So there's no extension here. So flexion is the correct answer. Okay, 31. Answer number 5. Then question 32. In pea plants, yellow flower color and round seeds are dominant. So yellow color flower and round seeds are dominant to white color flower and wrinkled seeds. So if it is simple Y and simple R, it would be wrinkled seeds. So white. So this would be white and wrinkled. Okay. Where a plant showing dominant trait was subjected to a dihybrid test cross. Okay. So immediately when you take a look at test cross, you should know test cross is always done with the homozygous recessive. So if you have 2 parents, the one that you are crossing with is 100% a double homozygous recessive. Okay, that's what test cross means. You do it with a recessive genotype. Then a plant showing dominant traits. A plant showing dominant traits means it could be what? It could be capital Y, simple Y, capital R, simple R. It could be capital Y, capital Y, capital R, capital R. It could be, what else is there? Capital Y, capital Y, capital R, simple R. So you see so many different combinations are there if a plant is showing dominant traits. Okay. However, once this organism was crossed with this homozygous recessive, 50% of the offsprings had yellow flowers and round seeds. So yellow flowers and round seeds means 50% of the offspring had yellow flowers, round seeds. So why am I drawing it like that? Because regardless of what is there in the second letter, this is yellow flower and round seeds. So now I am showing you a quick way to do it, because this is not an explanation class. It is just to identify whether the correct answer was obtained. Then other 50% had white flowers and round seeds. So other 50% had white flowers and round seeds. Okay. Genotypes of the parents of these offsprings are what? So clearly you know one offspring must have simple Y, simple Y, simple R, simple R. So then anything that doesn't have a simple Y, simple Y, simple R needs to be removed. So this has, this one has, this one has, this doesn't have, and this doesn't have. Okay. So then how do we figure this out? Do we need to draw, a Punnett square and, have a long calculation? Not necessary. So over here, take a look. 50% had simple Y, capital R, simple R. So that means there is a chance that the parent organism had a recessive allele. So if the parent organism was capital Y, there is no chance for you to get a simple Y, no? Okay. So then the parents, this yellow part has to be a capital Y, simple Y. Okay, has to be a capital Y, simple Y. So what we don't know is what is coming after. So let's see with this if we are able to find the answer. Capital Y, simple Y. Capital Y, wrong. Capital Y, simple Y, capital Y, simple Y. Okay, never mind. Then take a look at the round seeds, round and wrinkled. Take a look and see whether out of these plants, that there was a chance of having a wrinkled seed at all. No. 50% had yellow flowers and round seeds. That means it was dominant. 50% had white color and round seeds. There was no wrinkled seed at all. So if there was no wrinkled seed means there was no simple R. So that means this parent, if this parent had a simple R over here, this simple R and this simple R can give a simple R. So that means this parent, instead of having a simple R, should have had a capital R. Instead of having a simple R, should have had a capital R. So capital Y, simple Y, capital R and capital R. So then the correct answer there would be answer number 2. Right? Yes, because if you are talking about the fifth one, capital R, simple R, simple R, simple R. So there is a chance that this simple R and this simple R come together to give you simple R, which will give you wrinkled seeds. But you can see 50% had yellow flowers and round seeds, other 50% had white flowers and round seeds. There was no wrinkled seeds. So if there was a simple R, a wrinkled seed would have been possible. So as you can see, you did not even have to draw a large Punnett square, nothing. You can directly come to the answer as answer number 2. Okay, question number 33. A trait determined by polyallelism in humans is ABO blood group. So this is a direct question. So ABA blood group, what is the possible alleles? IA, IB and simple I. So you can see 3 alleles are there. Okay, right. So height, skin color, polygenic inheritance, schizophrenia was an example for epigenetics, red-green color blindness is X-linked disease. So then let's go to question number 34. Right. Steps involved in the initiation stage of translation process of polypeptide chain synthesis are given below. So we will see. What happens first? First what happens is, when you take an mRNA like this, the first part that comes and binds to this mRNA is that small subunit of the ribosome. In addition to the small subunit of the ribosome, the tRNA which contains the methionine amino acid also will come, because you know that the methionine, the start codon is AUG, so that corresponds with methionine. Okay, right. So the first one would be binding of small subunit of ribosome to mRNA and initiate a tRNA which carries methionine. That is true. Then what happens? Now this tRNA has come into close contact. So if the mRNA had AUG, that corresponding complementary base pair should be present in the tRNA. So to align with that, this mRNA or this system will move until that AUG comes into contact. So then you see here, moving of mRNA until AUG start codon along with the P site of large subunit. So then this move, now if you remember the before that. Right? So let's rewind. Okay. So as you can see, if you want to take the translation process, you have this mRNA sequence over here. So this is the mRNA. So first thing that happens is the small subunit of ribosome comes and binds to this mRNA. And once it comes and binds to this mRNA, you also bring a tRNA which has the methionine. So now still it's not a complete ribosome, no? So first thing that you have to do is make it a complete ribosome. So what is the part that is missing in this complete ribosome? The larger subunit. So the second thing that needs to happen is the binding of the larger subunit over here like this. Binding of the larger subunit. So then, where is it? Here, combining of two subunits to form a functional ribosome. That's what happens next. Then what happens? Now like I just mentioned previously, for this methionine to come and bind, the start codon that is required in the mRNA is AUG. Okay? And in the larger subunit of ribosome, you have 3 sites, E, P and A site. So for this tRNA to come and bind properly with this AUG codon, this mRNA has to move until the AUG codon aligns with the P site of the large subunit. So that would be the third thing that happens. After all that happens, that means once the situation is perfect, the mRNA is there, the smaller subunit bound to it, then the tRNA came into close contact, then the larger subunit came and formed, and then this mRNA moves until the AUG comes into the P site. Once that happens only, there will be a formation of hydrogen bonds between the anticodon of the initiated tRNA and the AUG start codon. So this is sequence number 4. So then 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be B, D, C, A, right? B, D, C, A. So B, D, C, A is answer number 3. Okay? Right. So question number 35. Which of the following has been signed with the aim of protecting biological diversity from the potential risk of genetically modified organisms? So correct answer here is Cartagena Protocol. So then you might think directly the answer should be Convention on Biological Diversity. The thing is, Convention on Biological Diversity is a parent protocol. Okay, it's a parent thing. However, they decided that in the Convention on Biological Diversity, they did not have much legislation about or much rules about protecting biological diversity from GMOs. Then to specifically address the GMO only, they have included this Cartagena Protocol. So the correct answer is actually Cartagena Protocol, not Convention on Biological Diversity. Okay, so then each of these have their own. Basel Convention, if I am not mistaken, it is for the transboundary movement of waste. Montreal Protocol and Kyoto Protocol. One thing is for the greenhouse gas and the other thing is for the ozone. So let me just check that right now. So Montreal Protocol is for the ozone depleting substances and Kyoto Protocol is greenhouse gases. So Kyoto Protocol was for greenhouse gases. The Montreal Protocol was for ozone depleting substances. Okay? Right. Right, question number 36. This is actually quite a question that can have two answers if you actually think about it. Which of the following biomes shows the minimum range of average annual rainfall precipitation? Minimum range means, now if you take a range means if you take this 300 to 500, the range would be 200. So all of these values are in millimeters. So 300 to 500, the range is 200. So if they are asking for the minimum range, that means the difference between these two, which of them have the least, then the correct answer would be savanna. Because here you see savanna has 300 to 500, temperate grasslands have 300 to 1000, northern coniferous has 300 to 700, tundra, the Arctic has 200 to 600, alpine has larger than 1000, temperate broadleaf forest has 700 to 2000. So if you take the minimum range belongs to savanna because the difference is only 200. However, when they mean minimum range, if they wanted the least rainfall, then the answer would be Arctic tundra. Because as you can see, Arctic tundra goes from 200 to 600. So, they might take it both ways, who knows, or they might mean the tundra Arctic part and take that. But if I was in the exam, I would have marked this as the answer, savanna. So then I am going with that as well in my marking scheme. So 36, answer is answer number 1. Okay, question number 37. Which of the following pairs of features of mycoplasma and unicellular protists are correct? So mycoplasma shape varies from spherical to filamentous. That is true because it's pleomorphic. It has multiple shapes. If you take unicellular protists, they exist individually or form colonies. That is also true. Okay. Then possess flagella as mycoplasma feature. That is wrong because mycoplasma does not contain flagella. On the other hand, unicellular protists, yes, they do contain both flagella and cilia. Then C, reproduce by budding and binary fission. So then this is an incorrect comparison because mycoplasma doesn't have flagella. C, reproduce by budding and binary fission. Okay, that is true. Unicellular protists reproduce by fission and forming gametes. Yes, if it is asexual reproduction fission and sexual reproduction by forming gametes. So that is true. Mycoplasma obligate anaerobic, that is false, while unicellular protists, they are aerobic, anaerobic and facultative anaerobic, that is true. So out of this, the correct answers are A and C, right? Yes, so A and C would be the answer number 2. Question number 38. Which of the following human organ systems do Streptococcus species cause diseases? So in cardiovascular system, you have Streptococcus pyogenes, which can cause rheumatic fever. In nervous system, you have Streptococcus pneumoniae, which will cause bacterial meningitis. And in respiratory system, you have Streptococcus pneumonia, which causes pneumonia. So the correct answer would be A, B, and E. So which is answer number 3. Okay. Which of the following combinations of microorganisms and their uses is correct? Spirulina and nostoc, high protein food supplement. Spirulina, yes, nostoc is a nitrogen fixing microorganism, so it is not part of that, so this is wrong. Rhizopus species, protease production, that is incorrect. It is for lipase production, not protease. Acidogenic bacteria, production of hydrogen and methane through anaerobic digestion. Production of methane is done by methanogenic bacteria, not acidogenic bacteria. So then this is incorrect. Then Acidobacter species, production of vitamin B12, that is wrong. Acidobacter produces vitamin C, so this is incorrect. Aspergillus niger, commercial production of citric acid, so that is okay. So answer is answer number 5. Okay, question number 40. The question from last unit 10 microbiology. Such an easy question. It is direct recall from whatever you have learned in unit 10. So, corms. So examples of plants that use corms as a vegetative propagation method would be Alocasia, Colocasia. So then this one is correct. A, Q. Okay. Then runners. Runners, spider plants. Spider plants use runners as a vegetative propagation method. And then for stolons, it is mint or mentha, mint. So then the correct answer here would be A, Q, B, R, C, Q. So we'll see. A, Q. AQ, wrong. BR, CP. So then that is answer number 5. So for question number 40, answer is answer number 5. Okay, question number 41. If the Golgi apparatus of a cell is not functioning properly, which of the following would be affected? So what are the functions of Golgi apparatus? Productions of lysosomes, manufacturing cellulose and non-cellulose cell wall components of plants, and also collection, packaging, distribution, modification of membrane lipids. So then we'll see what are the functions that they have mentioned here. Production of lysosomes, it would be affected. Yes, true. Manufacturing cellulose, that also will be affected. Detoxification is functioning of smooth endoplasmic reticulum and peroxisome. So then this will not be correct. Distribution of membrane lipids, yes. Metabolism of carbohydrates again smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So correct answer here is A, B, D, answer number 1. Okay, question number 42. The dominant plant types of spores produced by them, and some examples showing those features are given below. So which of the above dominant plant type of spore example combinations is correct? So let's go 1 to or A to E. PRX, sporophyte, homospores, and nephrolipis. Okay, so one thing that you should know is the dominant plant type being gametophyte is only true for Pogonatum. Every other plant that we learn in our syllabus, the dominant plant is sporophyte. So if you take these three, okay, Nephrolipis and Pogonatum are homosporous, Cycas is heterosporous. So then we will see PRX. So Nephrolipis is homosporous and it is having sporophyte as a dominant plant type. So PRX is correct. Then B, PRY. So like I mentioned, Pogonatum, the dominant is gametophyte, not sporophyte. So this is wrong. PSZ, sporophyte, heterospores, Cycas. That is correct. QRY, gametophyte, homospores, Pogonatum. So like I mentioned, Pogonatum, dominant plant type is gametophyte. Then QRX, gametophyte, homospores, nephrolipis. Now like I mentioned again, gametophyte is dominant only for Pogonatum. So then E is also incorrect. So correct answer here would be A, C and D, which is answer number 2. Okay, question number 43. Which of the following contribute to capture the maximum amount of light by plants? Length of the stem. So this is like a common sense question. Length of the stem. Yes, if you have a longer length of the stem, you can capture more light. So then this is true. Branching pattern, yes. If it is widely branched, you are capable of capturing more light. Vertical orientation of leaves. Vertical orientation is there to prevent overexposure to light. So then this is incorrect. Phyllotaxy, the arrangement of leaves on a stem. So phyllotaxy is important in capturing maximum amount of light. So that is also true. E, Strong stem, yes, but due to primary growth, no. Strong stem is due to secondary growth. So then this is incorrect. So answer here would be A, B and D, answer number 1. Question number 44. Which of the following are the functions of the human hypothalamus? Regulating sleep and wake cycles, that is true. So there are many functions of the human hypothalamus. They haven't gone much detail into the mechanism. So there is a list that you will have to remember. So out of that, regulating sleep-wake cycles, initiating flight or fight response, regulating water balance is a function of the human hypothalamus. However, regulating water balance, there is a way to remember because hypothalamus is the one that produces ADH, which is stored in the posterior pituitary, and ADH is involved in regulating water balance. Then, controlling vomiting. Vomiting is controlled by whom? The medulla oblongata. Okay, medulla oblongata. Maintaining posture. So, vomiting reflex is controlled by the medulla oblongata. Maintaining posture is done by the cerebellum. So, here answer is A, C and D, answer number 2. Question number 45. Which of the following statements regarding human fetal membranes are correct? Amnion helps to prevent desiccation of the fetus. Yes, amnion is where you have the fluid that acts like a shock absorber for the fetus that is present inside the uterus, and it also helps to prevent desiccation or water loss. So then this is true. B. Yolk sac contributes to the development of gonads. Yes, yolk sac is the one you provides the origin for the primordial germ cells which go into this developing gonads. So then that is true. C. Allantois produces HCG that contributes to maintain the corpus luteum. It's on the allantois that does that. It is the trophoblast. So then this is wrong. Chorion protects fetus from the immune responses of the mother. The chorion only will eventually become the embryonic part of the placenta. And if you take a look, the fetus is actually half the mother and half the father. So then it will, if the fetus comes into contact with the maternal blood, there will be an immune response against the fetus. But to protect from that happening, you have the chorion. So then this is true. Amnion is associated with the development of urinary bladder. That is wrong. It is the allantois. So then this is incorrect. So the correct answer here is A, B and D, answer number 1. Question number 46. Which of the following combinations regarding mutations and human genetic disorders are correct? Aneuploidy means you come after something known as meiosis non-disjunction, where the chromosomes are not separated properly. So aneuploidy, you can have 2n plus 1. You can have one extra chromosome or you can have one less chromosome. Polyploidy on the other hand, you have an extra set. So if you have 2n, instead of 2n, you'll be 3n or 4n or 6n. So those things are not found in humans. Okay. So then this polyploidy was given just to throw you off. Anyways, aneuploidy, trisomy and Down syndrome. So when you take Down syndrome is what? Trisomy 21. Down syndrome is trisomy 21. You have one additional chromosome in the 21st chromosome. So aneuploidy, trisomy, Down syndrome, that is correct. Then when you take B, polyploidy, there itself you know it is wrong. Then C, aneuploidy, monosomy and Turner syndrome. What is Turner syndrome? Turner syndrome, a female usually should have XX. In Turner syndrome, you have X naught. So this is also an example for aneuploidy and monosomy. Why? Because you only have one chromosome. So aneuploidy, monosomy, Turner syndrome, that is correct. Then D, aneuploidy, trisomy, Klinefelter syndrome. So that is also correct. What is Klinefelter syndrome? Klinefelter syndrome is when you have X, X and Y. Okay, so aneuploidy, trisomy and Klinefelter syndrome. That is correct. Okay, so aneuploidy, monosomy and Down syndrome. So like we just established, Down syndrome is trisomy, not monosomy. So then this is incorrect. So the correct answer here would be A, C and D, answer number 2. Okay, then let's move on to question number 47. Which are the following combinations that indicate some ecosystems in Sri Lanka and the climate zones they are present are correct? I am so glad that I moved past this A-level biology because there is no way in hell that I am remembering these things even now. So when you take dry patana is found in the intermediate zone, not in the dry zone. So then this is incorrect. Tropical montane forests, dry zone. No, it is found in the wet zone. So then this is incorrect. So when you take savanna is found in the dry zone, not only in the dry zone but also in the intermediate zone. So this is correct. Palava is found in the wet zone. Yes, that is correct. dry monsoon forest. So in that table that is given in the resource book, it is actually given as dry mixed evergreen. And then once you go to the paragraph on, you can see dry mixed evergreen. Another name is dry monsoon forests. They are not found in the arid zone, they are found in the dry zone. So then this is incorrect. So here the correct options are C and D, which is answer number 4. Okay. Then an exotic organism and an endemic organism of Sri Lanka are respectively. Exotic means they are introduced from somewhere else, alien species. Endemic means it is only found in Sri Lanka. So do not confuse endemic with indigenous. Indigenous means it is found in that location, but it is also found in other parts of the world. Okay. So exotic, tilapia is exotic, true. Black ruby barb is an endemic organism, true. So both of these are correct. So A is correct. B, rubber and goraca. Goraca is a plant, rubber is also a plant, both of which are exotic and endemic respectively. Tilapia and snakehead. Tilapia is yes exotic, while snakehead is indigenous. So it is not endemic, it is indigenous. So then this is incorrect. So if you take D and E, Indian pitta is a migratory species, blue magpie is a flagship species that is found in Sri Lanka. So both of them will be incorrect. So the correct answer here would be A and B, answer number 3. Okay, question number 49. Which of the following statements regarding purification of industrial wastewater are correct? Solid matter is settled out in sedimentation tanks during primary treatment. That is true. In industrial wastewater treatment, you have primary and secondary. In the primary treatment, it's completely physical. No biological activity is involved. You have the filtration, sedimentation, all of that takes place in the primary treatment of industrial wastewater. All physical treatment. No biological activity is used in the primary treatment of industrial wastewater. Second one. Sludge collected from primary treatment is converted to carbon dioxide and methane. That is true not only from the primary treatment, but also sludge collected from the secondary treatment is also converted to carbon dioxide and methane. Microbial oxidation of organic matter is facilitated in trickling filters during primary treatment. Like I just mentioned, primary treatment is completely physical. So there can be no biological activity used in the primary treatment. Then fine sand beds are used to remove protozoan cysts during secondary treatment. This is for drinking water treatment, not industrial wastewater treatment. Okay, drinking water treatment. Anaerobic digestion takes place in the activated sludge during secondary treatment. Activated sludge is highly aerobic. This is not to be confused with the sludge that you collect from the primary and secondary treatment. The sludge that you collect is quite physical. But over here, the activated sludge is the liquid, the semi-liquid that remains after the primary treatment. So in the activated sludge, they use highly aerobic organisms for treatment of the water. So anaerobic digestion is incorrect. It has to be aerobic digestion. It has to be aerobic digestion. So this is wrong. So correct answer is A and B, which is answer number 3. Question number 50. The last one. Which of the following are general characteristics that should be present in fish species that could be cultured? Ability to feed on formulated food. Yes, that is true. If they only require gourmet food, then you cannot grow these fish in these tanks. So ability to feed on formulated food is true. Ability to tolerate high population density. The purpose of this culture in the fish species is to produce large amounts of fish. So if they cannot, tolerate high population density, then it is not a good characteristic. Reproducing easily in grow-out ponds. Now that is something that you need to focus on. Grow-out ponds is where they grow until they become an adult. So during that time, if they reproduce easily, there will be high number of fish which will act as competition for everyone, and none of those fish will survive properly or grow properly. So reproducing easily in grow-out ponds is not a favorable characteristic. Consumer acceptability. Yes, they should look good, they should taste good, they should feel good. So true. Sexually maturing at very young age. So this is incorrect. So this is what happens when you start sexually maturing at a very young age. Most of your energy will be produced or diverted towards that part. So if you take this fish, instead of growing up to be strong and healthy, what they do is they spend some of their energy on towards that aspect, therefore reducing in the growth and size of this fish. So sexually maturing at a very young age is a disadvantage. They should sexually mature at a late stage. Alright, so that concludes all 50 of these MCQs. So the correct answer here would be A, B and D, answer number 1. So again, these are the marking schemes that I have provided based by referring the textbook. However, this can obviously vary based on the official marking scheme given by the Department of Examination. However, most probably I think all these answers will be the same answers that will be given by the official marking scheme also. So after marking all of this, I hope you can leave down in the comments exactly how much you have gotten out of 50. Regardless of what you have gotten for the MCQ, you have done a very good job. So that is it from me for now, and I will see you all in the next video.